I'd like to share a story with you this morning from my third book, Earth Tales and Birdsong. This story is called Squishy Rotten Plums. And back in the early 90s, my wife and I, with our 3-year-old, we decided we were going to go live in a country halfway around the world down under that we know as New Zealand, and the native peoples called the two islands Aotearoa. Well, we went there because, for one thing, there are not any nuclear power plants in New Zealand. And as you may recall from the song I shared with you, The Fisherman and the Lobster, at another time I had looked for a place to live without nuclear power plants, but now we were in this country, and we found a place to live to our liking on the South Island. And it was on a sheep farm, and this sheep farm was right on the coast. And we lived in the old hired hands cottage that had been empty for a couple of years. So when we looked out our front yard, our front door, across a pasture, there was the Pacific Ocean, and it was just incredible. There were very few other farms around, so it was very dark and quiet. We looked out our bedroom window at these snow-capped mountains called the Seaward Kaikoura's, and when I walked down and took my son down to the beach and we looked across that ocean, I knew we could get in a boat, and if we just kept going, we'd wind up on the other side, a country called Chile. It'd be a long row, so we didn't decide to do that. But anyway, there was also a garden on this farm. And one day I was in the garden, and I noticed a caterpillar. And I recognized it from caterpillars I had seen just like it in upstate New York. And it was a monarch caterpillar. And then I thought, my son, who's 3, he's never seen this miracle of watching a monarch caterpillar turn into the butterfly. So I thought, what a great opportunity. So I took that caterpillar and I got a jar and I put some sticks and leaves in it, and I punched some air holes in the jar lid and I screwed it on, and within a couple days I went in to take a look to see how it was going, and unfortunately now there was this really stinky stuff in there, and I felt kind of bad because I realized I hadn't put enough air holes in the jar lid, so now the poor monarch caterpillar was just kind of a mess. So I felt bad, and then I went out and I chucked it off so it could go back into the soil and back into the earth, as all things do. And so then later I got to thinking about that. And also right off the porch of this little cottage there was a plum tree. And when the plums got ripe, they would fall, and there were so many of them that instead of raking them up before I would mow this little patch of grass we had, I would step on them and the lawnmower would squirt them out, and these squishy plums. So thinking about the caterpillar and thinking about the plums, I came up with this little story. It's called Squishy Rotten Plums. And it goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a caterpillar. Once upon a time, there was a leaf. Once upon a time, a boy came along. He plucked the caterpillar off the leaf and stuck the caterpillar in the palm of his hand. The caterpillar rose up on its long tubular body. The caterpillar said, "Hey kid, what's the scoop?" The boy said, "Oh, hi. I'm going to take you inside the house. I'm going to put you into a jar for a science experiment." The caterpillar said, "Sounds dangerous." The boy replied, "Oh no. I've got a jar with sticks and leaves in it, and you'll see." The caterpillar said, "Wait a minute. Look, I kind of like my life out here on this leaf, fresh air, sunshine, organic food and all of that. And why are you doing this?" The boy said, "I'm going to put you into a jar so I can watch you turn into a butterfly." The caterpillar said, "That's ridiculous. Whoever heard of such a thing?" And the boy replied, "Oh no, it's true. You take a caterpillar, you stick it in a jar, it'll turn into a butterfly." Well, most of the time, it's true. He said, I took a caterpillar like you just last week. I stuck it into a jar, and it turned into some really stinky, smelly stuff. I had to throw it in the bushes. The caterpillar said, you mean it died? And the boy replied, yeah. I guess I didn't have enough air holes in the jar lid. The caterpillar said, have you made some improvements? And the boy replied, yeah. My mom had me punch a bunch more air holes in the jar lid. You'll see. Well, the boy, he walked inside the house. He went into his bedroom. There on his dresser top was a jar, had sticks and leaves in it. So the boy walked over and he tipped his hand so the caterpillar would slide off. But the caterpillar clung to the boy's paw. The caterpillar said, hey, kid, look, how would you like it if I took you and I stuck you into a jar for a science experiment? And the boy replied, I don't know, what kind of jar would it be? The caterpillar replied, never mind. But now the caterpillar knew he only might get one more chance at this. So the caterpillar said, hey, look, kid, what if I told you that if you stick me in that jar for a science experiment, you're going to turn into a squishy, rotten plum that's going to fall off the tree. It's going to land in the grass with a splat. And then a lawnmower is going to come along and it's going to just smash you to smithereens. Would you like that? And the boy, he thought about a squishy, rotten plum falls off a tree, goes splat in the grass, gets hacked to death by a whirling lawnmower blade. And the boy said, no, I don't think I'd like that at all. The caterpillar replied, well, in that case, you better take me back out and put me on that leaf before it's too late. And the boy said, hey, no problema. So the boy went out, went back into the garden. He took the caterpillar and stuck it back on the leaf. The caterpillar rose up and said, thanks, kid. That was very thoughtful. The boy replied, sure, no problem. Have a nice day. Well, then the boy went back inside the house. He tried to find his mom, and then he heard some noise coming from the garage. So the boy walked into the garage, and there he saw his mom. His mom, she was working on the lawnmower. She had changed the oil and the spark plug. Now she had a file as she was sharpening the lawnmower blade. Well, she saw her boy walk in, and she said, oh, hi. Did you find a caterpillar for your science experiment? And the boy said, yeah, Mom. I found a caterpillar, but you know what he told me? He told me if I stuck him in that jar for a science experiment, I was going to turn into a squishy, rotten plum that falls off the tree, goes splat in the grass, gets hacked to death by a swirling lawnmower blade. And the woman, she looked at her son, and she could see that he believed everything the caterpillar had told him. And then she thought about that. And she said, didn't your sister just come home from school the other day with an aquarium with white mice to watch over the weekend for her science teacher? And the boy said, yeah, I saw it in her bedroom. And the woman said, you know something? Before I start this lawnmower, would you go look in your bedroom, go look in your sister's bedroom to see if she's there? And if she's not, will you go look under that plum tree just to make sure there aren't any squishy, rotten plums under there with long ponytails and braces on their teeth? Thanks.